I don't know, we could talk about dating. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, one thing, let's talk about dating, especially since we just talked about Solomon, right?
Yeah.
So when you think about, when you're a young guy, right? We've all been young guys. Of course, my first love was basketball.
Yeah.
But when you think about young guys, you're growing up, you're dating, you see like pretty girls at school, and it's natural to want to have a spouse and a mate. That's the way God made us. And he called it good in the garden. So when you're a young man, especially in high school, and you start dating, one of the things that my dad taught me, of course, most things my dad taught me, I didn't listen to when I was younger, because I thought, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. It's not till later I start to realize, yeah, my dad was right about pretty much everything. Why? Because he was using the Bible as his guidebook.
Yeah.
But one of the things that he taught me about dating is he said, always date somebody that you're planning to marry, and never plan on marrying somebody that won't help you get to heaven. So when you put that together, my dad was saying, look, if you date somebody, make sure that that's the type of person that's going to help get you to heaven.
That's really good.
Yeah. You can use that for Dirks.
That's my son, Dirks Granger.
Yeah.
Shout out. I always wondered who my wife was going to be. What's her name? How am I going to meet her? And then thankfully, coming out of my senior year in college, I got to meet her in a cool way. I mean, she is everything I've ever asked for.
Yeah.
You just have to trust that God absolutely has the best in mind. For me, I met her through my grandfather, who were two special people, my grandparents, Nan and Pops. Like, it reminds me of my favorite Bible verse, Ephesians 3:20, that God could do way more than we could imagine. All of a sudden, this girl's going to get introduced to you through your family this whole time, and then I end up learning the gospel through that. You know, it's cool, like when you think back, but I guess ultimately just keep remembering God, that he's got the absolute best.
Yeah. If you're going to approach dating, it's not for fornication. It's not for parties.
That's right.
If you're going to approach it biblically, dating is so that you can find somebody that you're going to trust with your life, with your children, with your soul, with your emotions, with your weaknesses, with your family. You're talking about somebody, especially the children. Look, I mean, the rest of it, that really centers around you.
Yeah.
And when you're grown and you're an adult, you can do certain things to protect yourself if something goes wrong in that relationship to some degree, right? But you're talking about your children.
Yeah.
You need to make sure that who you marry, which usually leads to children, that person's going to do right by them. You don't want to be in a bad marriage that they leave you and then they drag the kids off to somewhere else, and now all of a sudden your kids are going to grow up ungodly and are influenced in negative ways, sinful ways by whoever they go off with. So dating is important that you do it the right way, with the right goal, with the right people. You need to enjoy it to some degree. Yeah, you need to have
the right way.
Exactly.
The right way. Yeah.
Right. And what I mean by that is this: you need to be able to get along with that person, have a good time in terms of having fun, and living life together. Those are going to be important things for a successful marriage as well. But the goal has to be put yourself with a godly person, with somebody that's going to help you on your way towards heaven, and they're going to help protect those things that we mentioned, and not be a detriment to them.
Well, and you talked about raising your kids. Like, to someone in high school, you're thinking, kids, man, I am a kid. It's going to be a long time. But when you think about dating, which you should date a person that you're thinking about marrying, right? I like that. Courting, they're like, well, that's old. I mean, that's really the idea. The idea of you're looking at a spouse, that someone could become a spouse, and you're going to have kids, and you need to say, okay, what if I were to die in a car wreck? I know that my wife, because we've had this discussion, if I were to die, that my wife is going to raise our kids with God, number one, right? And she knows that if she were to die, that I would raise them that way. If you marry somebody that you're not on the same page with spiritually, that's scary to think you're going to bring a little soul into this world. Like, we have a little daughter. She's 4 months old, Evelyn. And she's so sweet and innocent. I cannot imagine having to worry about somebody not teaching her about the Bible.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, guys, you think about it, it's not that far off.
No,
we're speaking to people that we would suppose are in high school. It's not that far off, these things from you.
It's really not.
It's really close. Look, I'm 32. That sounds pretty old for a 17 or 18-year-old, right? Yeah. But I had my daughter when I was 28. That's just 10 years forward. My wife is 4.5 years younger than me. She's 24. Yeah. So if you're getting out of high school, you very well could be raising children in 4 to 6 years.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, really, put that in perspective. Think about that. What you're doing now, right now in 11th grade, 12th grade, is going to directly affect the future of your children that you may have in the next 5 or 6 years.
Sure.
Yeah.
So it's important. Get it. You got to get it right.
And just to summarize, 1 Corinthians 6:18, flee sexual immorality. I mean, that's absolutely, that's it. It's so funny. There are so many sins in the Bible that sort of gives this idea you can stand and fight against. Sexual immorality, it's like run.
Yeah, run away.
Run from it, you know? And you want to look at a perfect example of that. You've got Joseph in the Old Testament. Young, good-looking guy, apparently, and Potiphar's wife daily, just over and over, and he runs, you know? And I think the coolest thing about that account is he talks about how he couldn't sin against Potiphar, but who is really the ultimate? He says, how could I commit this sin against who? God. Yeah. He says, I can't commit this sin against God. Yeah. You read your Old Testament. The Old Testament is full of great stories. Let's think about Solomon, right? Ecclesiastes, the wisest man ever.
The wisest man.
And what's his one biggest problem?
Women.
I mean, women.
Yeah.
They get him in so much trouble. I mean, if you got your Bible, we're not going to read it now, but just go read 1 Kings chapter 11. God literally talks about how foreign women, all these wives, drove him away. He built high places for them to worship their gods. And then look at his dad, David. The Bible I forget where it is, even says David basically pleased the Lord in all things except for the matter of Uriah and Bathsheba, where what got David in trouble? He was on a rooftop looking at a woman he shouldn't be looking at a time when he should have been out with the rest of his army at battle. And it leads him into sexual sin, you know?
Yeah. I mean, look, somebody might say, well, meat's for the belly and the belly for meats. In other words, it's natural for me to feel this way, to want these things. Well, it is in a certain context. God has given you regulations on how that's to be used. And yet there are natural feelings and emotions. That's probably what makes this particularly dangerous. Yeah. Is that there is something to this that's built into you, but you need to do it the right way.
Yeah. 1 Corinthians 7:2, nevertheless, because of sexual immorality, that's the Greek words porneia, means fornication, let each man have his own wife. Yeah. Basically, like, look, if you're going to burn with passion, get married, you know?
We're not saying it's not easy. Like, we're not saying it's not easy because, like, it's hard. Like,
we're not saying it is easy.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's hard.
Facing temptation. Yeah. It's really hard. And there's sometimes you'll mess up. You're like, man, why did I do that? But just focus again, like the younger version of talking back to ourselves in high school, like keep that goal in mind. Like if you're in high school right now, just focus on, man, my godly wife one day, my godly husband one day, and just hold on to that. Like the temptations that come your way, just push it aside, run as fast as you can. Because the gift of marriage is awesome.
Yeah. Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Authentic Christian Podcast. This podcast is sponsored by the Gospel Broadcasting Network, or GBN for short. You can hop on the App Store, search Gospel Broadcasting Network, and you can download the app. And there's this show, many other great shows that you can watch or listen to. Start learning more about the Bible and why we're here, what our purpose is.